I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Mr. President, before the meeting starts tonight, if you would, I would ask that you would have a moment of silence for long-term Town Councilman Warren Foote that passed away this week. Wiz has been on the Town Council forever. He was a water commissioner in the town of Allegany. He was also on the sanitary district as a district representative and a district chairman for years. So, sir, if you would.
Absolutely. Thank you. Wiz certainly was a good guy, loved Allegany, and represented them well for many, many, many years.
He sure did, and he will be sadly missed this year at Pace because he's very professional. So.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the last public business meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, moving into our public hearings. Item number 1 is Code Bill 7-18. This is a zoning text amendment for the farm alcohol producers. Our Director of Planning and Growth, Ms. Angie Patterson.
Good evening. Okay, so this is our public hearing for Code Home Rule Bill 718. This is a zoning text amendment that will add regulations for farm alcohol producers. So first, what is a farm alcohol producer? Our proposed definition is a farm that grows and processes, stores, and/or sells agricultural products for the production of wine, beer, spirits, or other similar beverage on an on-site producing vineyard, orchard, hop yard, or similar growing area. Accessory uses may include farm alcohol tasting rooms, accessory food sales related to the farm alcohol tasting, sales of novelty and gift items related to the farm alcohol processing facility, sales of farm alcohol produced primarily on-site, and promotional events and guided tours. So basically, in a nutshell, it includes breweries, wineries, and distilleries on a farm. So why are we proposing regulations specific to farm alcohol producers? Basically, the use is unique in that it is agricultural and also commercial, and that can create uncertainty as to what is required. So our goal is to provide clear direction for applicants to navigate the local permitting process, which will foster continued development of this industry in Allegany County. How were the proposed regulations developed? We researched other Maryland counties, specifically Carroll, Frederick, Washington, Harford, and Anne Arundel. We basically took what they did and tailored it to Allegany County's specific needs with the goal of simplicity and consistency. The regulations were vetted by senior management staff and also vetted by the Planning Commission, and they provided their recommendation for adoption on November 14th. So the use is proposed to be permitted with conditions in the following districts: neighborhood commercial, major commercial, industrial, general urban, agriculture, forestry and mining, and conservation. And it's proposed to be permitted by special exception with conditions in the R2 residential district. This means that they would have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals for approval in that residential 2 district. And the use would be prohibited in the R1 residential 1 district, which is the most restrictive residential district. There are 7 proposed conditions. The first is the primary use of the property shall continue to be agricultural in nature, and the production and sales of farm alcohol on site shall not be used solely to warrant or justify the assignment of future land use designation or rezoning petitions. B, a farm alcohol producer must have a valid Maryland-issued alcohol manufacturer license. C, all new associated structures shall be subject to a 50-foot vegetative buffer on the side and rear lot lines. Parking must be consistent with our off-street parking standards. Health Department approval for water supply and wastewater disposal systems is required. New structures established as a part of both the farm alcohol production and the accessory uses thereof must meet the requirements of Chapter 255 building construction. And a farm alcohol producer must have frontage on and direct access to a publicly maintained road. As far as public outreach goes, I mentioned that the Planning Commission made their recommendation on November 14th. No comments were received as part of their public hearing process. On December 20th, the bill was introduced and posted on Allegany County's website. On December 26th, Cumberland Times News did a front page article that announced today's hearing. We've had ongoing dialogue with the Maryland Brewers Association, and they endorse the proposed regulations. And to date, I have received no questions or comments. That concludes my presentation. My contact information is there if anyone has follow-up questions, and I'll turn it over to the commissioners.
Great, thank you, Angie. Gentlemen, any comments?
I guess by doing this regulation, we're actually hoping to streamline this process. This is kind of an oxymoron, but it actually does work, correct?
Yes, sir. It's never good when the applicant asks what they need to do to get a permit, and we look at each other and
Right.
aren't sure or are in disagreement.
Right, so I think we're able to put this in code and make it pretty black and white of what needs done and as less restrictive as possible.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. It is a public hearing, so you should ask for public comment.
absolutely. Thanks, Angie. This is a public hearing. Is there any public comment on this particular code bill? Mr. Wilmot, please, come on up.
Kenneth Wilmot, live 513 Ford Avenue. I'm not for putting any breweries or anything more in Cumberland. I've never drank in my life, never needed it. Personally, I think we got enough beer and alcohol, not only in Cumberland, but in the whole world. And alcohol is the #1 problem in the United States. So I don't think we need to produce any more. I wouldn't vote for it. That's my thoughts. I've never drank in my life, so I don't know what I'm missing, I guess. I don't know. But I spent 20 years in the Air Force. I went all over the world. I've seen so many guys get kicked out of the Air Force because they couldn't control their drinking. And it was a sin. There was a lot of nice guys. And I wouldn't vote for it. I wouldn't allow brewery in the county. But that's up to you people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Sir, when can we take action on this?
You can take action tonight if you want. This is a legislative day.
This is a legislative day. The commissioners can take action. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to item 1, Code of Home Rule, Bill 7-18.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Angie. Great. All right. Moving to our action agenda, this is a PACE 2019 meeting agenda for water and sewer projects. Director Paul Kale.
Evening, Commissioners.
Sir?
Annually, we've been doing this. We go to PACE. We take advantage of the state and federal officials being present. Hopefully, the federal officials will be present this year. We've been doing this since 1990. I believe informally we started then. So let's get forward what we always discuss the agenda prior to make sure you're on board on what projects we're requesting funding for at the PACE reception, or prior to the PACE reception. There's our proposed schedule. If you notice that every jurisdiction that has a water and sewer system in Allegany County is represented. This has started out that Lowney County and Allegany County and Westernport were the main members. Cumberland jumped on board a couple of years ago. The Vale Sanitary Commission jumped on board, and the last 2 or 3 years, Luke has had some problems with their water system that's been present. I would note that all of our jurisdictions have keep on coming back, so they view it worthwhile. And if you see the representatives that will be present from USDA Rural Development, hopefully, Maryland Department of the Environment, and the Maryland Housing and Urban Development. They've been present at every meeting we did since the early 1990s. And I would echo Commissioner Brody's comments about Wiz Foote. He was an exceptional individual to deal with. Happiest guy I've ever known, even though he's dealing with health issues over the last couple of years. He always faced him with a smile on his face. So we will miss him this year. I think he's been present every place that I can remember. Completed water projects, we just discussed those. They're really not on the agenda for what we'll require funding for. Bowling Green Phase 1, we did that in conjunction with the drainage project. That Phase 1 is completed. Bedford Road area, this is underway projects. Underway means we either are doing a study or they're under construction. Bedford Road, we have the money for that. That will go to construction this summer, and that's for Patmar and Morningside Drive. Bowling Green, we'll finish up that with some HUD funding this year. Planned water projects, these are projects that are on a radar screen. We put them in priority order, so if you have a comment on switching priority. Our number one priority this year is Brant Road. Brant Road would be 3,200 feet of 6-inch water line. It serves the Cresttown water tank, and it's the only line to that tank. So, and it's an old line, so we want to try to get that replaced. And I would back up and say that the infrastructure for water and sewer is very important. The majority of our water and sewer systems, especially our sewer systems, were installed in the 1960s and 1970s. So you can see we're approaching that time. It's very important that we start replacing them in a thoughtful manner. Judy Lane, that's out there. We've had some interest from people there, and that's in the Bedford Road area. Potomac River Water Treatment Plant, I think we need to have a discussion on that. Right now, we only have one source serving the Rawlings, Cresttown, Bel Air area. This came on the radar screen years ago in Cumberland at that point in time, and it's been 10, 15 years that's changed. But at that point in time, they were a little bit hesitant about serving that region. We did work that problem out, but this is a discussion item for as we move forward. Mason Road is would be part of the Bedford Road area too. Bedford Road area, these people have water at this point in time, and it's a lot of residents. It's around 600. The people have public water in that area, but they're either maintained by a private water system. Some are maintained by Cumberland, and we've added 2 there that we maintain now that we did upgrade. It's a difficult issue. That probably is the last big pocket of area in our county that doesn't have adequate water service. There's other areas that don't have adequate water service, but this is the last big pocket of 600 houses. It's a $12 million project if we ever went through. I remind the commissioners, our goal was we do not force water on anybody. The people give us a petition, and it has to be a majority of the community to come forward and ask for help. We have not received that from the Bedford Road area. We've got a handful here and there, but out of 600 residents, I'd say we probably only had about 40 or 50 people interested. So as we move forward and some of the private lines experience more issues, we'll probably see more people interested in coming to the county. So we'll face that when it comes. Vail Summit Water Storage Tank. Vail Summit has water. Our concern is there. We have a long, long main from the city of Frostburg that serves that area. If that line has any problems, then Vail Summit and the landfill area will be out of water. So we would like to put a tank there. If you have any questions while we're moving on, just jump up and tell me. Future water projects, these are areas we've had mild interest from. The only one I really see moving forward is Midlothian. At some point in time, they have their own system. We gave them the opportunity when Carlos Shaft was done to hook on, and they didn't want to do that at that time. They wanted to keep their own system. We'll see where that one goes. And we have got some recent inquiries from the Harwood area about water. Completed sewer projects, there's just 2 projects, Bedford Road and Braddock Run. We've really concentrated and worked in those areas because they have a lot of areas that need rehab, and those are both finished, both in the Grahamtown area and the Naves Crossroad area. Underway sewer projects. Locust Grove is probably our biggest project and is one of our most serious. We're working with LaVale and Frostburg on this one. It's to replace the pump station, and it would take the LaVale pump station out of service and replace it with one pump station. And our goal was to replace the force main all the way into Cumberland. On the agenda tonight, we'll talk next about engineering contracts moving forward with that. Mexico Farms Industrial Park station upgrade, that's underway and funded, so we're good to go on that one. That's a lot of ARC funding and some loan. That project will move forward and it's funded and going. The Bedford Road Sewer Rehabilitation Project's a $1 million project. That one's kind of neat because it's a $1 million project and we have a $62,500 loan on that project, and the rest of it's grant. That was MD had some extra money. And I feel good about the guys I work with. The reason we get money like that a lot of times is because they know we're ready to move forward on those very quickly. So we've got an extra $875,000 grant at the last minute to finish more work in that area. Flintstone wastewater treatment plant and Old Town wastewater treatment plant, they both, they're on the agenda tonight too. I'll get a little bit more details, but we would like to move forward with the study to see how much it would cost to replace them. Beers Lane and Rawlings, they've expressed interest. We did studies in those areas, but at this point in time, we haven't been unable to acquire funding. Planned sewer projects, Barton Business Park wastewater treatment plant upgrade. We see the upgrade in the future because of maybe the situation solving Beers Lane and Rawlings, and also our work with Cumberland Chase that we may have to upgrade that plant. Hopefully, but we'll see some development in that area. And also that serves our industrial park. At this point in time, I think we only have one American Woodmark's the only industry that goes there, but we have built a building there that hopefully somebody will be in soon. North Branch wastewater treatment plant clarifier, we really would like to see that move forward at some point in time. That we meet permit at North Branch, but it does cause us some operational problems out there because we have an old clarifier that's probably 50 years old. Future sewer projects, if you look under all those jurisdictions, we'll be dealing with these for years. Every one of those jurisdictions, except the last two, the first four are existing districts that we serve and went under consent order to solve our I&I problems. So we continue to work on those systems that were built in the 60s and 70s. Borden, Zillman, Slabtown does not have sewer at all. We see that in the future, trying to connect to the Mount Savage system and going down to Cumberland. And Vale Summit does not have sewer service at this point in time either. There hasn't been a groundswell that I know of that people want to have sewer in that area, so it hasn't moved forward too much. Other projects underway, we've requested to USDA for $50,000 grant towards a new truck for roads division. And the Bowling Green Community Enhancement Project is a combination of drainage and what I referred to earlier as the water project. The State Highway is funding part of that project. Allegheny County's got money in it, and Maryland Housing and Urban Development has project or money in that. And that pretty much, well, and then right now what we have under contract, we have funded right now, those projects, we have $8.2 million is what we actually have in hand. That's not the total cost of the projects, but that's what we have in hand right now, not what we're asking for. And out of that 8.2, $5.5 million of that is grant. That's a nice percentage, and the grant funding obviously does not have to be repaid, and it doesn't take money from our communities. So with that, if there's any questions, we look forward to this day. It's been very productive to us for all the years, and it really helps to have all the officials in the room at the same time when we discuss these projects.
No, it absolutely does, Paul, and I think it's important to note that, you know, PACE just isn't a party. It's a time that you can get all these stakeholders in the room together, federal people, state people, and they're giving Allegheny County a big sum of money, you know, year in, year out, and Commissioner Brody can speak to that. You know, I want to thank him for his involvement and leadership on this issue because he keeps us apprised of what's going on.
Thank you, sir.
No.
Question. Just rang a bell when you said about the Locust Grove project coming on and redoing that.
Yes.
Back last part of the summer, first part of the fall, we had that sewer leak that was coming out there, whenever maybe Downey Street area, going into the Potomac. Nobody ever said whether they found that or didn't. I mean, did they actually find it, or are we still moving in the drill creek?
That is the City of Cumberland project, so
Okay, I just didn't know whether maybe somebody in here said, hey, they finally found that.
for a while, they were catching it, pumping it taking it from the stream and pumping it into their sewer system. I haven't had an update recently.
I believe that was resolved,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner, anything else? Okay. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
All right, item number 3, it's an engineering service contract, funding documents for Locust Grove Pump Station. Director Kale.
Yeah, what this is actually the pump station design has started. We awarded a contract for this, for the pump station. What we're doing now is we're installing a new gravity line from where it's connected to the Vale pump station, and we're going to run the Locust Grove pump station and take the Vale pump station out of service. To do that, we're going to put a microtunnel in. So we're going to go underneath the trail and go underneath Wills Creek and go underneath Route 36. So we're in the planning stages of designing that, and that's what we're trying to, part of the design contract we want. Also, a force main alignment study. We broke that down from the force main design, because design the pump station, we need to know where the force main is going to go, because it affects the head of the pump. So where that line's located is going to depend upon what our head loss is, and that will determine what kind of pump we need to choose. And then moving forward, we wanted to be part of this contract to actually design the force main all the way into Cumberland. At this point in time, we have $800,000 block grant. That's all 100% grant. We have $400,000 committed from ARC. So what we're asking for now, we're not committing any county money. It's going to be all grant money as we move forward. We're hoping MDE is proposed in July of 19, that they would come up with $15 million to start the second phase, and then the following year would be another $15 million. So more to come on that, but we want to start the design phase in this. So we're asking that you give us permission to sign the engineering contract, and that we would give the president of the county commissioners permission to sign the funding documents. We would sign the contract, but then there'd be funding documents that would be come in that would be required of this county. So we're asking permission for both of those, one for us to sign and one for the president of the commissioners to sign the funding documents.
Gentlemen, any discussion?
Paul, I don't think we have any choice but to move forward on this just because of the aging system. And I was with a meeting with you the other day on this, and I know you actually brought up a good comment on this. We probably should schedule a public meeting maybe in April or May of this year, hopefully at LaVale Fire Department, where you can unroll this so the community actually does know what's going on, because we're kind of backed against the wall on this project. It's not like we have a lot of choice. I mean, the system that's there now is in dire need of repair, and we're trying to actually prevent something really bad from happening. So I think that's something that we're going to have to do. Don't you think?
Yeah, well, if you look at the age, that pump station was installed in 1975, so things have changed.
65.
I think it's 60s, 70s, so yeah.
Yeah, 65, because that's LaVale's went online in 64. So in the
So, and then when
counties.
you look at that, and plus that concrete pipe, the force main, if you go back to, there's concrete pipe that had wire in it that was defective from the 70s, and that's what a lot of that force main is. Actually, LaVale replaced a portion of that a couple years ago, and it was disintegrating. So yes, we're moving forward. But the beauty of this one, hopefully, the way it's proposed at this point in time is 87.5% grant for a $30 million project. Now, that money's not in place yet, but that's what MDE's proposed to us. It serves Frostburg, LaVale, Jennings Run, and Braddock Run. So when you look at that, we're probably looking at 10,000 EDUs. So when you look at the cost per citizen, we're hoping to really keep it low on a $30 million project, which we're pretty proud of.
But I do think you're right, though. We do need a public meeting separate just on this, so if citizens do have any questions. I'd rather them hear it from you than through rumor or the neighbor or this, that, go straight to the horse's mouth on this one, so.
Absolutely. Once we have more details, it'd be great. What were you thinking, Bill, when you smiled?
He said something about horses. I wasn't, he hesitated.
I did say the mouth, so I got the right end.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item number 4 is a engineering services contract. That's the funding document for Flintstone Old Town wastewater. Director Kale.
What this is a preliminary engineering report. Every funding agency we deal with, the first phase of a project is the obvious one, is we have to do a preliminary engineering report to determine how much it's going to cost to actually do the repair. So both these plants were installed in the early 1980s. Flintstone, it's shown, there's a steel tank, it's shown significant metal loss in that tank, so it's something we want to jump on. We're hoping to get a lot of grant on this one because both these areas do serve really a small number of people, so we don't have a whole lot of people to spread any kind of loan we would take out. So we'll move forward with that. At this point in time, we have 100% grant from HUD, so we don't have any money. The county does not have any money in this first phase. So we're asking the same thing, that you give us permission to sign the engineering documents and the president of the county commission to sign the funding documents that will be required.
Very good. Any discussion?
We like grants.
That's right. Yeah.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, item number 5 is Maryland Rural Council's grant. This is for the commissioners to accept a $225,000 grant from the Maryland Rural Council. 150,000 of that will be coming right here to Allegheny County. Mr. Butler.
Thank you, Commissioners. Absolutely would echo Commissioner Brody. We love grants.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is a good one, and I have a little bit of extra good news on this one. It's not the mistake was mine. It is not 225. It is $250,000 that is based on this grant from the Maryland Rural Council. This is going to the Western Maryland Works Project, as you all know. That is the Makerspace, an incubator for new ideas and new businesses. That was announced by Commissioner Shade and representatives from Allegheny College of Maryland back in November of this year. We are looking forward to this project. Again, this is actually the first of these types of funds that were distributed by the Maryland Rural Council here in Allegheny County. As you can see, it's a little bit of a partnership between Allegheny County government and the town of Hancock. This was in part thanks to our lobbying team at Greenville Consulting. They brought this initiative to us, this funding source to us, and they kind of connected us with the town of Hancock, who also was thinking right along the same lines. Their mayor down there is looking to kind of do a similar project there, although different industries. So I think the projects itself will be very complementary of each other. A good idea is a good idea, no matter if you're coming from Allegheny County or Washington County. So with that, we're asking for two things on this item. Number one is to accept the again, $250,000 grant. $175,000 goes to Allegheny County, and $75,000 will go to the city of Hancock. So number one, to accept for the president of the commission to accept the grant, sign off on the grant agreement, and then we will be also simultaneously signing a memorandum of understanding between us and the city of Hancock in order to get that $75,000 in funding flowing to them as well.
Wonderful. This is a really unique project, and we've certainly not wasted any time on it, from acquisition to really getting started. So I'll make the motion. We accept the grant. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good, sir.
Moving to our consent agenda. Mr. Butler.
Commissioners, you have three items on the consent agenda. Item number 6 is a sub-recipient agreement for the Braddock and Jennings Run Sewage Conveyance Improvements Project. Item number 7 is a travel request for fair personnel to attend a Pennsylvania Fair Convention in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And item number 8 is a parking lease agreement with Nestle's Dryers Ice Cream Company. That is in docking and using some designated parking at the Makerspace at 37 Lane Avenue for a payment of $750 a month. That, again, is revenue going into our Makerspace project.
Very good. Any discussion?
Sir, I would ask that we vote on item 6 separate, since I am actually an employee of LaVale Sanitary Commission, since there may be monies change hands between the county and LaVale, that I am not included in influence this.
Absolutely. Let's take a vote on item number 6. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Commissioner Brody abstains. Okay, on item number 7 and 8, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Rudd.
The only thing I would say is echo the comments about Wiz Foote. One of the other hats I wear is actually the town of Allegany's attorney, and I've known Wiz for years, and he and John Winter used to show up at my office. If you saw one, you saw the other. In fact, one day I said, call the rescue squad, because one of them was missing. They said, oh, he's parking a car. But, the era has ended. Those two guys did a lot for the town of Allegany. Wiz, wears hard on the sleeve and cared about Allegany a great amount. And he didn't have a whole lot, he was single and so forth, and he spent a lot of time taking care of the water projects in the town. So he's going to be missed. And he's a good friend and a good man, so.
Very good person. Mr. Butler.
In the words of Mr. Rudd, I have nothing.
Wow.
Oh, he's rubbing off on it.
Yeah.
Commissioner Caparella.
Nothing to add.
Commissioner Brody.
Sir, I'll just keep it very, very brief, because I have another meeting here at HRDC shortly. First of all, thank you, Paul, for putting everything together for PACE. Usually say this down at PACE, I'll say it real quick here. Without what our staff does and what we get down there, Allegheny County would be in dire straits. Infrastructure, water and sewer mainly, is the lifeline of any community. Nothing will flourish, nothing will go forward without both. I think that Allegheny County actually has the upper hand because of our professional staff and the way this is presented every year. Everyone's at the table. We usually come back with a significant amount of money. But Paul and Jason and both you guys, the staff, Dave, the guys in the back of the room make this happen and make the rest of us look good. So thanks to everybody on that.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. I'd like to recognize Tammy Fraley, friend from the Board of Education. Thank you for coming this
Tammy.
evening. With that, it's a new year. I'm optimistic for the board and our staff, and I think there's going to be a lot of good things coming here in the next couple months that I'm really excited about. So as we start this budgeting process in the next couple weeks, there are going to be a few changes, especially on the tourism-related stuff. We talked about that last week. And again, we're committed to doing the same thing we always do, not raising taxes, keeping spending down as low as possible, and moving forward from there. So with that, our next meeting actually will be next Thursday, January 17th at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All three.
Linda, we